What's up, Kings? Hope you guys are doing well. In today's video, I want to go over some of the best ideas and concepts that I came across in the book Becoming Supernatural by Dr. Joe Dispenza. The works of Dispenza were recommended to me by a number of my subscribers, including DW, Akshay, The Normally Open, and Max. If you have book recommendations for me that you think would do well on this channel, then definitely leave them in the comments below, because if I see a name that comes up over and over again, then I definitely check that book out, and that was what was the case with Becoming Supernatural. Dr. Joe Dispenza is basically a neuroscientist who also likes to talk about the law of attraction, epigenetics, and mystical concepts. So he was right up my alley. And he has this sort of discrepancy that he addresses at the start of the book about being a scientist who's also interested in esoteric concepts. Here's what he says. There are certain people in the world, including some in the scientific community, who might call my work pseudoscience, especially after Becoming Supernatural makes its debut. I used to be overly concerned about those critics' opinions. In the early days of my career, I always wrote with skeptics in mind, trying to make sure that they would approve of my work. It became very clear to me that those skeptics and rigid scientists who hold their own beliefs about what is possible aren't going to like me or my work no matter what I do. Once I had that realization, I knew that I'd been wasting a lot of my time and vital energy. I was no longer interested in convincing that particular culture. I was totally passionate about anything but normal, and I wanted to study the supernatural. I got very clear that I should give up my futile efforts to convince that community of anything, and instead direct my energy to a whole other part of the population that does believe in possibility and does want to listen to what I have to share. The content of this book is based on an evolution of teachings and practices. I'm hoping it will bridge the world of science with the world of mysticism. Those were from the opening lines of the book, and even though they don't relate to the main concepts of what this video will be, I wanted to say that because I felt like he was speaking directly to me. When I started off this channel, I was a little worried about some of the ideas that I talked about, because I thought, what if my friends find this channel? What if people think I'm nuts for talking about some of the things I'm talking about? But what I basically ultimately determined, and what I'm glad I sort of found in the works of Dispenza, is that you really ought to just speak to your inner authenticity and let the results fall where they may. You know, the right people will be attracted to your works, to your ideas, to your vibration, and things will go on. Things can be good even if you are your authentic self, and even if your authentic self is a little scary to display at times. So I really appreciated those opening lines of the book. Here's the first powerful concept that I discovered in this book, and that is the principle of mental rehearsal. Here's what Dispenza says. Emotions are energy in motion. All energy is frequency, and all frequency carries information. Based on our own personal thoughts and feelings, we are always sending and receiving information. The only way to change our lives is to change our energy, to change the electromagnetic field we are constantly broadcasting. In other words, to change our state of being, we have to change how we think and feel. If you are familiar with my work, you know that I am in love with the concept of mental rehearsal. I am fascinated by how we can change the brain as well as the body by thought alone. If you focus your attention on specific imagery in your mind and become very present with the sequence of repeated thoughts and feelings, your brain and body will not know the difference between what is occurring in the outer world and what is going on inside your inner world. So when you're fully engaged and focused, the inner world of imagination will appear as an outer world experience, and your biology will change accordingly. When you put your attention on and mentally rehearse over and over again, that not only becomes what you are from a biological perspective, it also determines your future. So the idea of mental rehearsal is simply just visualizing going through a series of events. And Dispenza found that it actually affects a person's physiology to go over this. And there are two ways that I've started applying mental rehearsal. The first is when I script out the following day. This is something that I've only been doing for about a week, but it's been paying enormous dividends. What I do is that after I've written my evening goals, I write out how I would like tomorrow to go ideally, based off of like what's on my calendar, what I want to accomplish the next day. And I just write out a script, a really quick script about what I want to happen each day, what I would like to accomplish in that day. And I don't try to be like overly insanely ambitious to the point where I would be kind of overwhelmed by it. But I've just started making these daily goals, and I've been visualizing them. I've been going through this mental rehearsal about what is to occur in the next day. And the craziest thing is happening. I'm actually hitting my objectives effortlessly. And this has been especially important in these last 6 weeks because, as many of you know, I started a new remote position while I'm still sort of handling my main job as a digital marketer for Thomson Reuters. And so I've been basically working a job and a half in recent weeks. I have no room really to procrastinate or to not work deeply. And what I found is that when I block out hours of my day and just the night before mentally rehearse how the day is going to go. I rehearse jumping out of bed, taking a cold shower, writing out my goals. I rehearse how my gym workout is going to look. And it's the most profound thing that I'm actually like carried by a thread the next day. I'm going through the day's events just as I had visualized it the night before. Maybe a hiccup here or there, but generally speaking, my efficiency has gone up a lot. Dispenza also gives the example of a Harvard research study in which a group of volunteers who had never played piano before, they were broken up into two groups. One group was actually asked to work through these finger exercises for 2 hours a day, and the other group was asked to sit by the piano and just imagine playing the notes, imagine playing the piano keys for a period of time. And what they found was that both groups created a dramatic number of new neural circuits and new neural programming when they were given brain scans. The part of the brain that controls finger movements, even though one group had only visualized it and the other group was the group that was actually playing it. Both groups had activated parts of their brain that affects the neurological hardware in preparation for that experience, which is pretty profound. So the practice of mental rehearsal or visualizing a particular event, it actually preps your brain in response for that activity. And it's a process that athletes use as well as some of the top entrepreneurs in every field. I mean, I'm just using it for a week and it's been profound. So that's the first really powerful principle that I extracted from the book. The second principle is the idea of giving yourself shots of incredible, powerful energy. Here's what Dispenza says. During our 4-day workshop, we asked our study participants to move into an elevated emotional state, such as joy, love, inspiration, or gratitude, for 9 or 10 minutes, 3 times a day. By doing this, the immunoglobulin A, IgA, in the participants shot up by 49.5%. The normal range of IgA is between 37 to 87 milligrams by deciliter, but some people measured more than 100 milligrams per deciliter at the end of the workshop. As we practice maintaining elevated emotions and changing our energy, we can literally upregulate new genes that make new healthy proteins to strengthen our internal defense system. This means that you might not need a pharmacy or an exogenous substance to heal you. You have the power from within you to upregulate genes that make the IgA, which is a gene that is indicative of your immune system health. It can increase that within a few days. Something as simple as moving into an elevated state of joy, love, inspiration, or gratitude for 5 to 10 minutes per day can produce significant epigenetic changes in your health and body. Here's how I've been doing this, because sometimes if you are feeling average or low, it's hard to pull yourself up into that high state. But if I've been working for a good period of time and I feel myself sort of dipping into a slump, I've sort of been doing this sort of primal amping up session where I listen to some amazing music and I just jam out really hard. It just elevates my mood considerable. I sort of go, I am kind of a manic person in general, so I had been responding to music in this vigorous way where I'm just like really jamming out. And when I come back to sit down and do my work, obviously I feel fantastic, and it's like energy within you that is stagnant begins to feel good again. Enthusiasm is an odd concept within the law of attraction. Just sheer enthusiasm and sheer excitement for what could be coming can help change things. And as Dispenza says, it can change things on a genetic level, which is pretty rad. The third principle that Dispenza relays in his book that I really, really loved is the idea of practicing no mind, bringing your brain into an alpha wave state, and then generating ideas. And this concept is very similar to some topics that I'd spoken on the Akashic Record or the superconscious mind. But Dispenza actually gives a sort of exercise, a sort of practice that you can utilize to actually extract results from your superconscious mind without having to be like Nikola Tesla. We don't know how Tesla did it. He just did it because he was Tesla. Getting beyond our body, our environment, is worth it because once we disconnect from three-dimensional reality, we enter a whole nother reality called the quantum, the realm of infinite possibility. The quantum field is an invisible field of energy and information, or you could say a field of intelligence or consciousness that exists beyond space and time. Nothing physical or material exists there. It's beyond anything you can perceive with your senses. This unified field of energy and information is what governs all the laws of nature. Yet as strange as this may sound, the quantum field is not empty. It is an infinite field filled with frequency or energy. It's a state in which all possibilities exist. Tapping into the quantum field requires that our brains move into a slower frequency, from beta brainwaves to coherent alpha brainwaves, or even theta brainwaves. That's important because as we slow down our brainwaves, our consciousness moves out of the thinking neocortex and into the midbrain, the limbic brain, and it connects with the autonomic nervous system, the body's subconscious operating system. This is why a lot of your best ideas come when you're fully relaxed, as opposed to being in a high-stress situation. They say that the #1 killer of creativity is stress or fear. And the opposite of that is true. If something is free-flowing within you, if you're just relaxed, it's why a lot of musicians smoke weed, because it like relaxes them enough to allow those superconscious hunches to come through. It's also in the story of Archimedes and the king, where there was a great king who wanted to find out if his crown was made of lead or gold. And he had Archimedes, this great wizard mathematician, try to figure it out. And Archimedes was stuck with the problem until he sat in a hot tub and completely relaxed. And that's when he cried out Eureka, because he figured out how to solve that problem, and he invented a new word in the process. When you are in the present moment, you get out of your own way. As you become pure consciousness, pure awareness, and change your brainwaves from beta to alpha and even to theta, the autonomic nervous system steps in and finally has a chance to clean house. That's what creates brain coherence. Once we're in the present moment, there is an infinite possibility that exists in the quantum field as electromagnetic frequencies. As you combine a clear intention with elevated emotions, you are broadcasting a whole new electromagnetic signature into the field. When there's a vibrational match between your energy and the energy of that potential, the longer you're conscious of that energy, the more you will draw the experience to you. Here's how I think you can use this concept of slowing down your brainwaves into the alpha or theta state and then generating ideas from your superconscious. You meditate. At the end of your meditation, you visualize some of the things you want to achieve. And after you've done doing a really deep visualization, the kind of visualization where you emerge a different person once you're done with it, you start writing. Just get a piece of paper and a pen, or just sit down by your laptop and you start generating ideas of things you could do, people you could reach out to, tasks you could complete. And the list you generate will be beyond your conscious thoughts. It'll be beyond your rational brain. There's a good chance that if you generated a long list of things you could do, once your brainwaves have slowed down into the alpha or theta state, and you write afterwards, and you visualize and then you write, you might get ideas that surprise you, ideas that you could never have thought of prior to. And if you act on those ideas, those hunches, there's a good chance those hunches could be coming from your superconscious. If you act on those insights, those results can be profound. They could really accelerate your movement towards your goals. I love this book, guys. Highly recommend checking it out. I'll leave a link to the book, the Amazon link, in the description box. These principles are fantastic, and let me know, do you think you'll try to adopt these principles? I think moving into 2019, the principles of mental rehearsal, actually rehearsing every day, giving myself shots of positive energy. For me, it works best by just jamming out to music I love, but giving myself shots of positive energy throughout the day, that has really been helpful so far. And this third principle of writing after you meditate and visualize, writing out ideas, things you could try. I'm really looking forward to enacting these habits in 2019 and seeing what results they can get me in 2019 and in the years beyond. But that's it for this video, guys. To those of you who are new on the channel, my name is Nikhil. This channel is about blending the esoteric with the tactical. I also like to draw a lot of inspiration and insights from cinema, novels, and mythos. So if you like personal development and storytelling, I'd love it if you subscribed. But that being said, for those of us who are willing to rehearse the following day's objectives, if we are willing to act on superconscious hunches, and if we're able to give ourselves these shots of positive energy, to you I say, greatness is coming. Thanks so much for watching, guys. I'll see you next time.